Hi, I am Kendall Rawls, Director of Development with the Rawls Group, Business Succession Planners, here to welcome you to How to Create Control Over Your Future series. People are the backbone of any successful business, and business owners across all industries are having a hard time finding qualified talent to fill open roles. In this episode, Marty Kirshner, partner with Gray, Doug Woosnam, Managing Director with Cetane Associates, Champ Rawls, a succession planner with the Rawls Group, and our very own succession planner, Clayton Latiolais, discusses strategies to recruit, retain, and motivate employees.
Kendall, that's obviously a very loaded question. There's a lot that can be done. I've spent a lot of time doing some research on the Great Resignation. Just like this industry, my own industry that I'm in is very much a victim to the Great Resignation, where there's just so much out there. There's a new world of where you can work remotely and have this flexibility, and money's getting thrown all over the place. But at the end of the day, there's a ton of things, but I'll focus on really three things that I think are at the top of my list for where you can do. And one, obviously, is for employees that are coming into your business, because again, it's been hard to find technicians and drivers, is having a clear path for them for their growth within the organization. I think in the old days, and Doug, you can correct me if I'm wrong, a driver or tech would come in and that's kind of all they would expect to be for their entire career. And now you got people coming out that still want to drive trucks or be a technician, but they want to do more. And I've always said, they come in with the mindset that their last name isn't on the door, so there's nowhere for them to grow. And if you can create this culture where it allows them to know that they can move up, I think you can get a lot more out of them. And continuous with that is I'm a big believer in golden handcuffs, where you can put in these incentive comp plans that basically give them milestones like, hey, if you stay for X amount of years, you'll get X amount of reward. And it's got to be something worth their while. It's got to be a number that jumps out to them. Is it buying loyalty? Yes. But at the end of the day, if they're doing good work, you're only going to keep them if they're good. And so I think looking at that. And then lastly is, creating a work-life balance for them that maybe is a little different than what it was in the past. The biggest example I use is a lot of these folks that are going out and doing deliveries or making service calls have families. And we've always had this mindset, like you wake up at 6 a.m., you go do your deliveries, you're back at 2 p.m. or whatever time, and then you punch in your tickets and you call it a day. But what if you let them start their day at 9, they did the exact same stuff that they were going to do. They still get it done in that day, but now maybe they can see their kids off to lunch or help make dinner or other things that they couldn't do before, which creates a lot of intrinsic value that isn't necessarily tied to giving a big raise. So those are just some of the things that come to my mind.
I would agree. And I think the practical, some of the things that we've implemented on those lines are, it's all about branding, I think. And I think it's kind of what you said. Money right now is not the issue. It's motivation. And it's how do you build a company that people want to work at, in contrast to your competitor. So how do you put curriculums? I think, as you said there, what's the career path? But actually promoting that we develop a curriculum for the driver to tech to manager to whatever. So the money part takes care of itself. The prestige part takes care of itself. It's the promoting the benefits, and it's the same thing that we keep on throwing the words around in planning. But I strongly believe just in why a customer is going to buy from you or get service from you rather than a competitor. You also have to look at why is an employee going to choose to work for you rather than a competitor. And it's really as simple as that. Because if it's $1, okay, pay one more dollar. But if it is the benefits that you time, the career launch pad, anything, it's how do you brand yourself to be the best landing spot for employees today, because they have so many choices.
I think to retain employees in this market, we really need to rethink the relationship between owners and employees. And I think, respecting the employees and doing it in such a way where you are more conversational maybe than you've been in the past, and engage them in what the business is doing and why you're making this choice versus another choice, and truly listen to what your employees have to say. Going back to also what Marty said, I think that our employees need to understand what their paths of opportunity are in your business. And each employee has their own wish for who they want to be and what they want to do. So you need to listen to them and create pathways that keep them in a position where they want to stay part of the team. And on motivation, one of the things, surprisingly, our employees, I think, deserve to understand what our business is doing financially and why. And what I've seen is a lack of willingness of owners of the small businesses that we're talking about to share some critical information with their employees and why you're making this decision and not making that decision. And I think we need to be more open and forthright with our employees so they truly understand the challenges of today's business world.
That's totally agreed. But one of the other things that we touched upon a bit, but also creating pipelines for the actual attracting of new employees. So creating pathways for entering your business is, I think, key to developing a really resolute workforce where, for instance, you have partnerships with trade schools, for instance, and bringing in apprenticeship programs. Those build extremely loyal employees. We use that in my past industry to bring in employees on our technician side, partnering with the trade schools and universities to bring in technicians. And through these apprenticeship programs, they saw that you invested in their development and they became extremely loyal employees. And many of these employees, have been with the company 20, 30 years because they went through the program from the beginning to end. So, or their intention is to stay to the end anyway. But I think developing those pipelines for attracting new employees also adds, value to your HR process.
I do like, I just wanted to go back to what Marty had said earlier, because we're not only talking about it's motivate and retain. And I think the golden handcuffs that you mentioned are so important when you do lock down these talented people, because you can motivate them by tailoring these deferred any way you want. And so whether it be by performance, longevity, they're great motivational tools to not only drive what you're looking for in your business, but to also be as creative as possible in retaining talent. Again, so a competitor doesn't come poach. So, once we get them, it's how do you keep them?
Could spend probably 2 hours on this topic.
We haven't even talked about culture, which is
for another day.
Working on your business and leaning on expert advisory guidance allows you to create more control over the future you envision. By proactively addressing possible, probable, and potential issues, you create many options at your fingertips. Do you have a question you want to discuss with an expert? Feel free to reach out directly to Doug, Clayton, Marty, or Champ at the email addresses listed on the screen. This is only one out of our 7-episode series focused on creating control over your future. Keep listening to the series now or come back for more. Each topic featured may want you to learn something new. Creating control over your future is a part of the Rawls Group's Advancing Your Business, People, and Legacy conversation series.